Good afternoon, welcome to TV Africa. Could you please introduce yourself, tell us who you are?
Well, I'm Beanie Brown. I've been living in the UK from 1959, but originally Jamaica, and one of the sons of the soil who have been taken away 500 years ago, returning back to motherland several occasions. This is my second time in Uganda. So I've been in different parts of Africa, but my main base used to be Tanzania when the war was going on. I used to be down there regular because of the supply to the war of liberation for Mozambique, Angola, Guinea-Bissau.
You are participating in supply?
Yeah, we used to supply with that war effort, and also the Sudan.
So you've been an active supporter of this struggle?
We've been always active support because this continent needs to be liberated. Not yet liberated, not yet independent, because we're not even economic. So I belong to an organization called African Caribbean Self-Help Organization, started in 1964. And we also helped form the Pan-African Congress movement in 1977.
Okay. What does your organization do specifically?
Our organization specifically do to raise the level of consciousness about African people worldwide. We know that we're not really behaving as we are. We're not really, let's put it this way. Do you know what it means to be an African? Do I know what it means to be African? Does the 1 billion African on this continent and the ones outside? You know, there's 100 million Africans in Brazil alone.
Oh, really?
And there's about 50 million in the United States of America. Do they really understand what it means to be an African? Our role is to make sure African people know what they are. They are African people, they have a culture, they have thousands of languages, and they have great civilization. So our role is about re-educating the African, recapturing that African spirit and that African character, and not try to be Europeans or Arabs or you know, naming themselves different names. You know, like in the Caribbean, you say Barbados, St. Kitts, Jamaica, you say Nigeria, Mozambique. Eh?
You're called Brown.
That's a slave master name.
Okay.
But Beanie's not a slave master name. But I'm about to change that name.
What does Beanie mean?
The one who keep returning. And when I do change the name, it will be Butwaka.
Which means?
Means spiritual warrior.
From where?
Ghana.
Which tribe is that in?
It's not a tribe. It was done by traditional priests from Nigeria and Ghana. They search out that name for me and they get, so they specifically don't put it to one region. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you have achieved in Jamaica specifically? Do you operate out of Jamaica anymore?
I operate out of England.
Of England?
Yeah, because I've been in England from 1959.
Okay.
I came there when I was a child.
So you have not been to Jamaica since?
Oh, I go back and forth to Jamaica. We have contacts with people in Jamaica. We do radio programs. If Muta Baruka rings me, we'll do a phone link up. Or any other person who are activists in Jamaica, we do link up. And if I go to Jamaica, I will go and speak at conferences.
But your main area of operation is out of England? It's
England.
What has been your level of success?
I would say this level of success is that for African people who have been ripped out of this continent in that terrible war to enslave us and make us into something that we're not. We've achieved one objective, which was the first objective, was to make sure that we realize that we are an African people. So we've achieved that to a certain extent because most of the time, because of the brainwashing and the enslavement of our people, the murder, the torture of our people to forget yourself as an African. Somebody takes you out of this continent and he beats you and he cuts your tongue out because you speak in your own language. He tells you you're no longer named Babatunde, Butwaka. You now named John and Smith and so on. And if you do that to the women, you say, well, you are now Jane and Elizabeth and so on.
Well, yes,
so let me just give you a breakdown.
I get it.
Because for you to understand, You have to be living there. I lived it,
Yes.
where our people would never identify themselves as African
Yes.
because the 300 and 400 years of attacks and brainwashing, psychological damage. So they would call themselves colored. They call themselves Negro, and so on, and black Frenchman and black Englishman. And so that fight is to get them to reverse back to Africa.
And what I want to know is how successful you've been in doing that.
Very successful, because black people no longer call themselves colored. You'd have to get somebody in their 90s or 80s using the word colored.
Yes.
Yeah, but if you have a younger person, I'm black, they know they're black. And you go in a meeting and says, who are we? African.
Oh, good.
Right? So you achieve a certain level of consciousness that we, who's been there for nearly 40 odd years, the organization, has changed that mindset.
Do your people understand their blackness on a biological level? Like, I am black because I have melanin. And melanin
Yes,
that
yes,
does this for
yes.
the human being.
There are many, the conferences and the debates about melanin started both US and Europe.
Yes.
We have always pushed it. If you look at our music, we always sing about being Africa, going back home to Africa, you know, and
a good point.
so that in itself is a way of showing you that the people have moved along a long way, but they are counter to that as well.
But the reason why I asked about melanin specifically is because if any human being understood the value of melanin to the human organism, they'll be more than proud to know that they have it. It wouldn't be a political statement, it would be an acknowledgement, a personal realization that, well, I have melanin. It doesn't only act as natural sunblock, it actually facilitates mental processes, neural processes, digestive processes, the actual process of
Opening the pineal gland.
pineal gland and all
Yeah.
that. So do people appreciate
They appreciate, but you look at the power of the media in Britain. What it does is trying to get African people and African children to put on these sun black cream, which is detrimental to the melanin, that will create skin cancer. Because the evil one have never stepped back off of our neck. He wants to keep his foot on our neck. So we have the campaigns is always going to go on. The struggle's not finished.
You have managed to liberate yourselves. You have an agenda to return. Why is it that you're not coming back home?
You see, the point is, when these white people take us out of Africa, take us in the Caribbean, and they build their empire, when they went to World War I and II, they bring the people back because they want to build their society back. Now they build their society. They have you in a situation, I would say they have you trapped, just like they have millions of African people on this continent trapped in poverty.
Yes.
They keep you trapped in poverty. You can't make the transition back to the homeland because you need the money to it. And then the homeland puts up barriers against we coming home. I go up to Ghana twice now. I have to have a visa to Ghana. A Russian, a German, a Chinese, an Arab don't need a visa to go into Ghana. This is my land. So why are the Africans putting up barriers for Africans for return? Why is Africa have all these borders? Because it started in 1884, the division of Africa. Now the third scramblers begin, and everybody's jockeying to get all of Africa.
Yes.
And they're not white, they're not black like me and you. They're Chinese, there's Arabs, there's Indians. And white people, they want this continent. They know 30 years' time, they can't do without this continent for water, food, minerals, even though they're talking about sitting on their TVs in Britain talking about, oh, let's harness the water flow out of the Congo and generate electricity right up into Europe. What's that all about? And what about the people here? Why are we having power cut? We have all these natural resources that Mungu give us, and we let others come in here and take it from us. Take our people, keep on destroying us. So our fight in Britain, I can talk anything in Britain. But when I come into Africa, most of the time, I can't even talk about the leaders' roles here. They'll probably send someone to give you a hit squad. So the thing is, if you can criticize the enemy If we can fight against police brutality, injustice and racism in the school, institutional racism, and you can't come to Africa to tell your people, look, brothers, look, sisters, stop these people raping our land, raping all our wealth. Fight this kind of, because you see, corruption in Africa only can operate because the Europeans back up corruption.
Not only that, there are actually lots of reasons that we have a lot of corruption in Africa.
Yes.
The organization began to work with the foreign departments in various governments to change that situation.
It is.
To change the visa issue at least.
Yes, we've been campaigning,
Okay.
and we're coming up against brick wall. But I'm saying that we're not going to
country-
stop.
Which country is this you're referring to?
Especially Ghana. We've been, not only Ghana.
Yes.
We're talking about not only Ghana, the whole of the African continent. If I want to go to Burundi, next to a country here, Rwanda, I have to have a visa.
Well, I also have to, well, I don't have a visa, I don't need to have a visa. But the issue would be then why not hold a local passport?
A local passport is whether the government here is willing to give it. But here's the question. I put it this way to you. Look, Africans couldn't move around this continent, and it's their continent. So if you're Rwanda, Tanzania, Mozambique, Nigeria, you have to have visa to cross borders. These borders were created by European, the evil one. So why is it still there in the 21st century? We still got these borders. People make excuse in the leadership to say, oh, we can't do it because it'll cause chaos and all. Well, it ain't going to cause no chaos. It's going to unify the African people. It's going to rid Africa of this tribal thing. And even tribal in the word doesn't come from Africa. It comes from the European.
It comes from Rome, actually.
Yeah.
I notice you're wearing an ankh.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. What significance does it have to you?
The ankh is, to me, a symbol, a part of our culture started way back from these lakes, go right up into Kemet, which they call Egypt today. And the ankh symbolizes the energy of female and male figure and our people, the culture of our people.
Yes.
People try to take this ankh and make it their own. We have to reclaim that of our symbolism, because these symbolism are important to it, having a symbol that represents male and female and eternal life is very important to every African man and woman and child on this planet. So therefore, we must be proud of our symbols, because in Britain, the Batty Boys wanted to, and the lesbians wanted to take this symbol, and they were putting on their gay pride thing, and we challenge them. This is our symbol. And we tell them to back off. Just clear off, and they're going to look your own symbol. So now, they've taken it off. So if we don't be vigilant and stop them doing things to desecrate our symbols, we have to stop them. So my journey is a one of fighting. Maybe the Mungu sent me here to fight. Because at the age of 14-year-old, because you say you want to know about me, at 14-year-old I'm active. When I was in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, I see the injustice of the evil one. How they get our people right throughout slavery to be killing ourselves. So when I see that as a child in the streets of Jamaica, and white people have that privilege to determine life or death of a black man or woman, with my parents being Garveyite, I know I had to get on a journey to fight. And I always promised my mom, I will not stop till we get total liberation. So I got involved in organizing people. And one of the hardest things is organize me and you.